Greetings, friends. Lately, there have been demonstrations in Israel. The forces of chaos are sprouting like mushrooms. What should we do when chaos surrounds us? I do not think we can stand in front of the crowd and try to speak common sense to them, because they do not want to listen. They're not looking for wisdom. In fact, their fingers are in their ears. They do not want to hear truth. This generation acts without thinking. Rabbi Michal Yehuda Leftovitz, Zatzal, stated, quote, "A complete person does nothing out of habit or unintentionally. Everything is done with a goal and purpose." I heard the Chazon Ish, Zatzal, praise one Torah scholar by saying that almost all of his movements are pre-calculated. Close quote. Every day we say the bracha, the blessing for das. A prerequisite for a Jew is to think. To be honest, I believe most people go through life without thinking, like robots or machines. Most of our actions are rote. We do things without understanding, and tragically, in this, we resemble animals. In this week's Haftarah, we read the famous words, "An ox knows his owner, and a donkey his master's trough. But Israel does not know." How devastating is this indictment? Does it bother you when you see people who otherwise look normal walking down the street talking to themselves? Have they gone insane? Oh no, they're on the cell phone. That explains it. Some people walk around with metal devices attached to their ears. What did we do before cell phones? Perhaps we contemplated something serious as we walked. Perhaps we went over words of Torah. Perhaps we reviewed matters of Torah ethics, contemplating life-altering decisions. But we become slaves. As it says, quote, "His master shall bring him to the door or to the doorpost and gore through his ear with the awl." That's AWL. "And he shall serve him forever." Enslaved to a piece of metal, we walk around like robots, mentally chained to a voice which comes through this piece of metal attached to our ears. If we do not run away from this addiction, we are in danger of eternal slavery, God forbid. Why is kavanah so important? Because we have to understand what we're doing. When I daven, I am speaking directly to the King of Kings. This is mind-boggling. We should be trembling and crying. Maybe that's why we have a minhag to shuckle when we're davening. Our life is hanging in the balance every second. Why are we blasé? I hate to say it, but we have a rampant plague in our community in which people race through davening at lightning speed. How can one ask for life before the King of the universe without thinking and trembling with every word? Among other things, it shows terrible disrespect. Where is honoring the King? And how can we come before him in sloppy clothes? In the Beis HaMikdash, every garment the Kohanim wore was mandated in Shemayim. The Kohanim stood in Hashem's palace, and the King of Israel had a haircut every day. And we, how do we look when we stand before the King? My Heilige friend, Reb Shlomi Feldinger, he should live and be well, has a beautiful chiddush. What's the difference between the two famous speaking animals in the Torah? The Nachash, the snake, and Bilam's donkey. The Nachash is remembered for evil, but Bilam's donkey is our hero who gave Musar to the archetypal Jew hater. What's the difference between the two animals? The Nachash, the snake, was created along with the animals in the first 6 days of creation. The donkey was created Ben Hashmashos, in the twilight, on the 6th day, just before Shabbos. Listen please to Reb Shlomi's brilliant words. The Nachash spoke to Chava without hesitation a few hours after he was created. The words came gushing out and caused immeasurable harm, from which we're still suffering. The Nachash spoke without thinking. The words just tumbled out of his mouth. The donkey, on the other hand, waited about 2,500 years before speaking. He had millennia to consider his words, so he spoke with wisdom, because he thought before he spoke. His words brought bracha, blessing. Don't be a nachash. Think before you speak. Think before you act. Contemplate the perfect days when kings, prophets, and Kohanim walked in our midst. The days of the Beis HaMikdash, we had everything and more, and we let go of the endless riches showered upon us by the Master of the universe. Now in the darkness of the 3 weeks and the 9 days when the world is trying to eat us up, we are Nebuch, eating ourselves. Ata chonei la'adam das. You graciously endow man with wisdom and teach insight to a frail mortal. Endow us graciously from yourself with wisdom, insight, and discernment. Blessed are you, Hashem, gracious giver of wisdom. Hashem does in fact provide all this if we want it. But we have to work for his gifts. We can attain spiritual perfection because that's why he created us. But if we go through life in sleep mode, then we're in danger of staying in gullus, in exile, God forbid, until the world collapses. And there's no guarantee where we will end up. Hashem will rescue us if we open our eyes. There will come a day, may it be soon in our lifetime, when Zion shall be redeemed with justice, and her returnees with righteousness. May we see that day soon. Good Shabbos.